1, 2.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Could have done with a couple more hours sleep last night. Yeah, just seemed to, alarm just seemed to, I set the alarm for 7. Yeah, you can feel it. I always wake up before my alarm anyway, right? Maybe I used to that sentence where I think I'm the only person in a t-shirt here. I think the heat must rise. Yeah, it's coming in very quickly. So. A quick test for the cameras at the back. How's the volume sounding out? Okay. One minute to go. Tom, do you want to just get the door? Okay, morning Rory, welcome.
Morning.
Your 5th Ryder Cup before the age of 30. Just start with giving us your thoughts on the week ahead and being part of this European team.
Yeah, I mean, I've been excited for this for basically since the last day in Hazeltine, whenever we weren't the ones that were spraying champagne for a change. So yeah, I've been excited for it. You know, I've really loved being a part of the process. You know, the dialogue I've had with Thomas over the past few months has been great, and seeing the team take shape and everyone that's played their way on. It's exciting. You know, it doesn't seem that it's been that long that this is going to be my 5th Ryder Cup, but they've all been wonderful experiences for different reasons, and I'm sure this time will be no different.
Thanks, Rory. We'll go straight into some questions. If you'd like to use the microphones and raise your hands. Start with Doug on microphone 3, please.
Rory, in the times you played in the Ryder Cup, what have you seen as the strength of Europe? And in part of a twofold part, if this is said to be a strong U.S. team, in your mind, what makes them strong?
Yeah, I think that the strength of Europe has been, you know, we all get behind one another, and you know, even whatever differences we may have, we put them to the side for this week, and we're a cohesive unit, and that's the way we try to be. And I think that's obviously served us well for the Ryder Cups that we've, you know, had success in, you know, especially in the you know, the last few years, going back to, I guess, the Belfry in '02 and all the way through. It's been you know, Europe has had a pretty good run. Obviously, there's been a couple losses in there as well, which is to be expected. You're playing, you know, the best players, not just in America, but you know, they're you know, most of the best players in the world. So obviously, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some, and we've won a little more than we've lost the last few years. But as you said, the American team is very strong, and I think again, you know, the dynamic of the American team has become a little more cohesive in the last few years, and I think that's to do with the younger guys coming on board and really embracing the Ryder Cup and making it a very important part of their careers. And they, you know, you've seen, you know, Jordan and Ricky and JT and, you know, those guys, they hang out together, they spend a lot of time together, and you know, it seems like the togetherness is just a little bit more there than that maybe used to be back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Go to Rick on microphone 4, please.
Rory, you obviously played in big Sundays before, but I just wonder, was there any element of intimidation on Sunday?
That East Lake rough was really tough. Yeah, that was the most intimidating part about it. Started hitting a few drives left and right early, and you know, I didn't actually have quite a good view from the trees on Sunday. I couldn't really see what was happening too much.
Question, mic 3 down the front.
Hey, Rory. Can you remember your first shot in a Ryder Cup on the first tee? And can you talk about that dynamic, about how different that is, that feeling that goes through your body? And going forward, this is the largest gallery you're going to ever have on a first tee here. What do you make of this setup here?
Yeah, good thing it's an easy tee shot. No, Celtic Manor, I guess I didn't, you know, going into my first Ryder Cup, I didn't know what all the fuss was about. You know, I still thought it was, you know, this team event that really doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. And, you know, I was more concerned about individual titles and all that. And once I got onto that first tee on Friday morning, I thought, oh, this is a little different than I expected. I was very nervous. I still get nerves on the first tee no matter what tournament it is. So that's something that, you know, maybe happens to me more than other people. I don't know, but it's nerve-wracking. You know, you try and put your ball on that tee, and you know, it takes you a couple of times to get it to settle on there. And I'm sure Friday morning, if I'm playing, will be no different. It's a huge grandstand. You know, playing a practice round yesterday, you know, there was basically no people in it, and I still got goosebumps looking at it and thinking on Friday this thing's going to be packed. So. Yeah, I'm excited for that. It's become one of the very, special things about the Ryder Cup is that first tee experience on Friday morning.
I'm going to microphone 4. Is it Brian?
Two things. When you hear that U.S. hasn't won over here 25 years, is that surprising to you? And secondly, what's the challenge, aside from maybe the crowd differences, of playing on the road in the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, I mean, it is surprising. 25 years is a pretty long time. I guess that's, 12 Ryder Cups. It's tough. I mean, I think playing on the road is increasingly becoming more, increasingly difficult with how partisan the crowds are and how the crowds get behind their teams, and that's all a part of it. It's the same thing in any other sport. You have road games that are very difficult. Yeah, I don't know how to, I think thinking back to Medina in 2012, like we were 10-6 down on, it was a long shot that we were going to win that, and we ended up doing that, which was very special. But that could have started a run of, home victories for each team. And yeah, I don't, it is tough, and the adjustments, I think not having that week in between to recover, coming straight from the, I think I counted something like 17 of the 24 players came straight from the Tour Championship last week. So, getting in on Monday and obviously we have the extra day. We're not starting until Friday, but it's the journey over, and then a little bit of jet lag built in, all that sort of stuff. You need to do the right things. Yesterday, today, tomorrow to be able to play on Friday. So, I think that has a big part to do with it. And then, we do have a little more control of the golf course. The way Hazeltine was set up is not the way this is set up, which is not the way Medina is set up. So, there is certain differences that you can try to do to play into the home team's advantage, I guess.
We have microphone 2 on the right-hand side, Rory.
Morning, Rory. I want to ask about one of the 5 rookies, Jon Rahm. You've played quite a few rounds of practice rounds during the year with him. I believe there's even a fair chance that you might even get to play together this week. Could you tell us what can we expect about Jon? Do you think he can follow the steps of the great Spanish players that have played so well in the Ryder Cup? Thank you.
I certainly hope so. He definitely has the fire of a Seve. And he's got that passion that the Spanish are known for. We've had this WhatsApp group going, all the Ryder Cup players and vice captains and captain for the last few weeks, and I've been pleasantly surprised at Jon's input into it. I guess I only met Jon a couple of years ago, but the first time I heard of him was through the college system in the US. He lives in Arizona now. It's and he's obviously very friendly with a lot of the guys on the US team, especially the ones that live over on the West Coast. Tim Mickelson was his college coach, so he's very close to Phil. So to see how much he wants this and how he cares about the Ryder Cup and how proud he is to be European and to be Spanish and to really be a part of this it's been really cool to see. I wasn't quite as vocal in my first Ryder Cup as he's been, but I wasn't as good a player in my first Ryder Cup as he is. So I'm expecting some great things from Jon this week. I played 18 holes with him yesterday. He seems to be playing really well. And if we do play together at some point, that would be something I'd really look forward to.
We have a question on microphone 1.
Rory, is there a general characteristic of a European Ryder Cup course or European Ryder Cup setup that makes it different from what you usually see when it's in the U.S., or does it all feel just completely different every time?
Yeah, I think it plays, you get punished if you hit it offline. I feel like at Hazeltine, the punishment wasn't high enough if you hit it offline, and I guess that sometimes plays into some of the Americans' hands because they have guys that just hit it so long, and you can stand up and wheel driver, and that's not like I'm probably one of those guys, so it doesn't quite play into my hands. But I think for the bulk of the European team, it would be a little bit, they'd welcome a setup more of this style. I'm not saying that the American guys can't hit it in the fairway; they're all some of the best players in the world. But I think just looking at it, it would seem this style of golf course is more familiar to us than something like we saw at Hazeltine last time.
I'm going to stay on microphone one there.
Rory, you obviously had a close-up view of Tiger on Sunday. How much do you and the rest of the players relish the challenge of playing Tiger? And do you think, bearing in mind he's obviously not had a great record in the Ryder Cup, do you think we might see a slightly different Tiger Woods, bearing in mind what he's been through over the last few years?
Look, this week he's 1 of 12. We're not looking at any individuals. We're just trying to beat the US team. It's great what he did on Sunday. It was great for golf. It brings a lot of excitement to the game. But I think to focus on one player is silly, especially when I mightn't even see him this week at any point because I mightn't be on the course with him or play against him. So I don't really want to speculate how he's going to play or what he's going to do. I think it's great for the US team that he's in the mix, and it's great that it's given their team a little bit of momentum coming over here. But we're looking to beat the US team. We're not looking to just beat Tiger Woods.
I'm going to microphone 2, Phil, please.
Rory, you're obviously still clinging on to your 20s, and there's quite a few players in this team that are in their 40s, but do you feel that you're a leader again this time, and are you happy to take that role this week?
Yeah, look, whatever the guys want me to do, or whatever Thomas thinks my role should be, that's what I'm going to play. I'm sure I'll be one of the leaders. I think you've a lot of great players on the team that have played in a lot of Ryder Cups and will put their hand up to be one of the leaders and to try to lead by example. Justin Rose, who was #1 in the world there just a couple of weeks ago, FedEx Cup winner. Sergio Garcia, Henrik Stenson. Guys that have played in a lot of Ryder Cups and have had a lot of success individually and in team events. I'm just one of those guys. So I'm 1 of 12. I'll do whatever I can to help the team. And I just want to get ready and get prepared so that when I tee off on Friday morning, I'm going to be ready to go and ready to play 5 if needed.
I'm going to microphone on the left-hand side.
Rory, Thomas yesterday was speaking about how Ian Poulter has this great rapport with the fans, but that Sergio's strength lies in the team room. Can you shed light on that, on what makes Sergio such a great asset for you guys in the room this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think just everyone loves Sergio, at least in our team room. So, he has been the heartbeat of our team for a while, and he has been a constant. And I think a lot of these Ryder Cup teams, it's about continuity and sort of bringing the same mindset to each one. But he's great. He's fun-loving. He likes to have fun. He never lets the environment or the atmosphere get too serious. And I think that's one of the big things about European Ryder Cups over the past few years. We haven't, we've basically left any sort of egos at the door, and no one's allowed to have an ego or even I know some of the guys talked to you about the video that was played for us the other night, and some of the sketches and impersonations of all of us, and I mean it's brilliant. It's great to be able to poke fun at yourself, and I think the more you can keep that atmosphere in the team room, the better. And Sergio is great at bringing that atmosphere into the team room and just bringing that dynamic to everyone else.
Microphone 3 down the front.
Belgium newspaper. You had last time in Hazeltine, you had a great pairing with Thomas Pieters. How do you look back on that moment, and who would you like to have your new partner?
Yeah, look, it was it was a weird one because Thomas and I didn't actually play a practice round together at Hazeltine. It was sort of a bit of a throw us together at the last moment and see how it goes. But we knew that the way we both play the game, our games matched up pretty well, and it seemed to work. You know, it obviously did work. We played great. We won the 3 matches that we played with each other, and yeah, I mean, like I'd love to find another partner that that I could go so well with again this week. And you know, I'm not going to give away who we're going to be playing with or our pairings or anything. I mean, you'll see who we practice with on the course each day, and you know, you can figure it out from there.
I'm going to have to go to the last question at Tim right at the back.
Rory, the adrenaline level in your match with Reed was clearly off the charts. I wanted you to speak to whether you were surprised you could play golf at that type of level when you were both so jacked up.
I could play it for 9 holes, and then it suddenly hit me. The level sort of declined after that. It sort of reached its crescendo on the 8th green, and then the last 10 holes wasn't quite as good. But you know, I look back at those videos, and I look back at the last Ryder Cup, and it wasn't just Sunday. It was Friday and Saturday. I mean, surprised I had a voice left at the end of the week. It looked tiring to have to play golf like that for 3 days. So I think I learned a lot from that, and learned that, you know, it's good to get excited and it's good to, you know, to have that. But at the same time, if I need and have to be called upon to play a late match on Sunday or whatever it is, I want to have all my energy in reserve so that I can give everything for 18 holes, because I did hit a wall that back 9 on Sunday, and it cost me.
Okay, Rory, thanks for joining us. We wish you well this week.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll make a start. Sergio, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Your 9th Ryder Cup. Just give us your thoughts on the week ahead here in France.
Yeah, it's excuse me. Obviously very excited about it. To be here again, being a part of Team Europe, it's amazing, and you know, the course looks great. The stands look unbelievable. The weather is supposed to be very, very nice, so a little bit chilly, but other than that, you know, it looks like everything is set up for an amazing week for everyone to enjoy.
You guys played the course yesterday. The first tee, grandstand, everything looks set up to be an incredible atmosphere as well.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, those stands look massive. So excited to see them all the way up to the end. You know, filled up and cheering and everything. I think it's you know, it could be one of the most exciting Ryder Cups ever, and you know, I'm just thankful to be a part of it and to be a part of Team Europe, obviously.
Okay, thanks, Sergio. We'll go straight into some questions. Would you like to raise your hands? We start over on microphone 1. I think, John, you had your hand up first. Yeah.
Sergio, haven't had to rely on a captain's pick and all the debate around that, do you think you have a point to prove?
I don't think so. I think that at the end of the day, you know, the captain's picks, they're not easy for captains and vice captains, but they have their way of doing it, and they know what they want to choose that can bring something extra to the team. So you know, I think that I've proven myself over and over, and the other thing I can do out there is when I get called upon playing, just do my best, do what I do, what I've always done here at Ryder Cups, and you know, that's everything. So you know, if we're able to do that and play well, then we'll have a good chance. If not, we'll have to fight really hard.
We'll stay on mic 1 for John then.
Sergio, Rory was in here just a moment ago, and he said that you were the heartbeat of the team, and everybody loved you. Obviously, your job is to get as many points as possible, but how do you see your role in other areas? Do you feel you have a special role?
I think I do, yes. I think I do from experience, from the way I am, from the way I enjoy team event, the way I enjoy the Ryder Cup. So yeah, I think that's probably, to be totally honest, is probably one of the reasons why the vice captains and the captain decided to have me on the team. Not only for what I can bring on the golf course, but what I can bring outside. And what I'm gonna do is just do what I do best and try to make sure that that everyone feels good, comfortable, happy, enjoying themselves. And if we can do that, then it's much easier for everyone to play their best game.
Good. Mike 3 at the front, Mark.
Sergio. The European team is always a strength of the European team has always been its cohesion and camaraderie and whatnot. You always seem to be an advantage over the American side. Seems like the Americans have caught up to that and figured that out a little bit. Have you noticed that? And if so, what's your assessment of kind of how they've?
Well, I mean, to be totally honest, I don't live on the other side. I mean, it does seem like they're doing a little bit better. I don't know exactly what goes around in their team room or what's happening, but I know what goes around in our team room, and for us it's easy. It comes out naturally, so that's easier for us to do, I guess, and then that's the only thing that we can do, and then when we go out there, play the best we can, and make sure that we have a good shot at winning the cup.
Go to Martin on microphone 4.
Sergio, those qualities you talk about as a team golfer and what you bring to the group as a team player, can that transcend things like form coming into the tournament in a way it might be harder to do as an individual?
It might, yeah. I think that when sometimes the way I've always felt, I like to have someone around me, and that's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed foursomes and fourballs, because I feel like it's nice, to have someone around that you can put your arm around and kind of cheer yourself on, and golf is such a lonely game throughout the whole year. Sometimes it's nice to have a friend next to you that is cheering for you, and not only one, but another 10 behind that are doing the same thing. So, that definitely I feel like it probably helps me a little bit, yeah.
We've got a car on microphone 3.
Hey, Sergio. A couple of quick things. Portugal Masters, when did you decide to play, and how pleased were you with your performance last week?
Yeah, I obviously talked to Thomas, and I told him that if he decided to pick me, that I would play Portugal to make sure that I didn't come into the Ryder Cup without playing for 5 weeks. So as soon as he called me, then obviously it was a done deal. And I was very pleased the way I played. I think that I played very, very nicely throughout the whole week, which was nice. I hit a lot of fairways, a lot of greens. Felt like I putted nicely. Probably didn't hold out as much as I would like to, and that's why I didn't have a realistic shot at winning. But but other than that, it felt like it was a very positive week.
And just to comment on the yellow ribbon you're wearing for Celia front and centre this week, you knew her, I understand. A really sweet picture of the two of you was released. Have you spoken to her family?
I haven't actually, unfortunately. But obviously it was very sad when we found out. My dad spoke to her uncle, and it was very sad when we found out on Tuesday morning in Portugal. For many reasons, not only because she was way too young, but she was just too nice of a person, and the way it happened. So unfortunately, these things happen in the world, and nowadays more than ever. It's sad, but I guess the only thing we can do is pay a great tribute to her and make sure that her family feels proud of us, and I know they feel proud of her. So it's sad, but it unfortunately happened.
Go to microphone one, Ewan.
Sergio, just to follow up on that, can you tell us your memories of Celia, and in a similar way to Medina, Seve became such a symbol that drove the European team on? Do you take an extra strength from wanting to do something for Celia?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we wanna try to win the cup for Europe, for everyone, for our teammates, but obviously. With the passing of Celia, it's an extra effort there, if you want to say. We hope that we can play as well as we can to make sure that we can achieve that. But we're obviously touched by it because it's, like I said earlier, it's disappointing to see something happen like that to anyone, but to someone like her even more. And hopefully we can make sure that their family are proud of, like I said earlier, of what we're doing for her. I know we are. I know they are, and I haven't spoken to them, but some of the people have spoken to them, and they told us that. So it's all we can do.
Let's stay on mic one with Neil.
Yes, Sergio. If the Americans were to pair Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson together, do you think that would be good for the Ryder Cup? And thinking back to 2004, could it be good for Europe too?
I don't know, to be totally honest. If we beat them, yeah, it would be good for us. If they beat us, it won't. It's as simple as that. So, is it good for a Ryder Cup? I have no idea. I think that it doesn't matter who you pair with. Whatever pairings you get, they're good for the game. They're good for the Ryder Cup. They're good for the show, and that's not going to change no matter who's paired with. So I'm sure they have their pairings and we have ours, and then we'll see what happens.
Go to Brian on microphone 4.
Sergio, I'm curious about playing a Ryder Cup in Europe versus in the States. Is there a certain increased level of comfort or confidence when you guys play over here?
Oh yeah, for sure. The same way that I'm sure that they feel the same when we play in the U.S. It's normal, you play in your home turf, so you're gonna feel a little bit more comfortable there. You have most of the crowd on your side, and when we're playing in the U.S., you have most of the crowd against you. So it's the way it is, but we've been on both sides, and we know how it works, and we just gotta make sure. Excuse me. We just gotta make sure to enjoy every minute of it, and hopefully give many things to cheer for.
And just a quick follow-up: are you surprised it's been so long since the U.S. has won over here?
No, I mean, I think it just shows how well we've played. It's as simple as that. So, am I surprised? No, because that's what we try to do. We try to win it. So, they're probably surprised, but that's our goal. So we're not, and we're hoping to make it even longer.
Question on microphone 2. I think it's Tim.
Hi, Serge. Could you take us back to your early memories in a Ryder Cup with watching Seve and how inspired you were? And I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you were at 97 at Valderrama, but if you were there, talk to that as well.
No, unfortunately, I wasn't. I was 95. I was at Oak Hill, and yeah, it was amazing. Unfortunately, I only watched like Seve's Ryder Cups, like the good ones, on TV. The one at Oak Hill, obviously, he was towards the end of his good game. He was still an amazing fighter, though, as you can remember. But yeah, it definitely was very inspiring. And I remember 95 was, I mean, I love the Ryder Cup, but 95 is really the Ryder Cup that kind of make me really fall in love head over heels with it. I remember being there. I remember seeing the atmosphere. I remember, I think, I mean, I was only 15. I went to the International Pavilion and seeing, you know, people singing and you know, the energy that was around was amazing. And then to be able to see, I was in the junior Ryder Cup team, so to be able to meet your idols and Sevi in this case and say hi to them and talk to them for a bit, and obviously I knew him from before, but to be able to see him at a Ryder Cup and spend some time with him was something amazing that I will never forget, and it's one of the reasons why I love this event so much.
Okay, time for a couple more. Let's start with question on microphone 4.
Sergio, was there any point in the last couple of months where you had doubts about whether or not you'd be sitting here this week?
For sure, yeah. There's no doubt. You know, when things don't go exactly as you plan, as you wanted, and you know, and you're playing a lot in the summer and you keep missing cuts by one, you know, it feels like it's kind of getting a little farther away, and you still kind of see it, but starts to get too far away, and you wanted to come back. So obviously, yeah, there were thoughts, but at the same time, you know, I talked to Thomas and I told him, I said, you know what, you know, I want to be a part of your team. Obviously, I'm not gonna lie to you, but if you guys decide to not pick me, I'm gonna be at home cheering as hard as if I was there. So it's not like you know, I'm gonna be like, oh, you know, they didn't pick me. I don't even want to watch it, or I don't care. You know, so that doesn't change for me, and that will never change. And but I'm definitely glad to be here and be a part of it.
We'll take for one more question on mic 1.
That point you just made, Sergio, about enjoying having other people around in a lonely sport, does the pleasure come mainly from you inspiring them or them inspiring you, or is it a bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both. Obviously, I get inspired by them. There's no doubt, and I think hopefully I inspire them and make them feel comfortable, make them enjoy it a little bit more. That's what I always try to do, and that's probably one of the reasons why I've been fairly successful with my partnerships in Ryder Cups, with many different ones. I don't know if I'm the one with the most different partners, but I'm probably close to it. And you know, I've been fortunately for me and for Europe, been able to do well with pretty much all of them. So yeah, so that's always nice.
Okay, well, Sergio, thank you for joining us.
Thank
we
you.
wish you well this week.
Thanks.
Well, Jon, thank you for joining us. A warm welcome to your first Ryder Cup. Just give us your thoughts on how special it has been being part of that team room this week so far.
Well, as a rookie, I don't know what the other guys have said. It's hard to explain. It's a lot of emotions running through me right now, but obviously it's an incredible sense of accomplishment just to be here. A great sense of pride and humility at the same time, just because we know how much it takes to be in the situation. And I couldn't be any happier to be sharing this with the teammates that I have. And, I'm really happy that a lot of those people that, were, let's say, peers in the game of golf and I didn't get to know very well beforehand, I'm getting to know very well right now and are becoming really good friends, right? So it's, even though I'm still a young adult, I'm still 23, I feel like a little kid again. So it's a great feeling.
You played the last two editions of the Open de France here. Just give us your thoughts on the course and how useful an exercise that has been playing in those two.
Well, I think the best thing out of the last 2 years is that I've played the golf course in two completely different conditions. I've been able to play both predominant winds on the golf course. So I've seen it both ways. 2 years ago, last year it was rainy, it was cold, it was windy, so the course was playing one way, and then this year was a little warmer, still windy, but the other way and drier, right? So I was able to play it completely different. So yeah, I can say I've played the course both ways. Still, magnificent track, magnificent golf course, great design, and it's in as good a shape as a golf course can be. So it's always a great walk when you get to play Golf National.
Thank you, Jon. We'll go into some questions. If you'd like to raise your hands, we'll start with Stephen on microphone 2 at the back.
Hi, Jon. Thomas Bjorn has said that Sergio Garcia was picked as much for his influence in the team room as on the course. Can you just talk about sort of what he's been like in the team room, and also how exciting would it be to be sort of paired with him in another sort of all-Spanish partnership that's been so frequent in the Ryder Cup over the last few years?
Well, I've gotten to know Sergio pretty well outside the Ryder Cup, and I can say he loves the event. He knows what it is like, and he knows how well he performs in this event, and he does act in a great way. His demeanor, his energy is so positive and so energetic, is very contagious. I'm very much the same way when I'm off the golf course, and it's great to be around. It's so much fun to be around people like him on an event like this, just because he gets everybody, very, very energetic and very, very much the same way he is, right? So it helps everybody get together and bring everybody together. He is a special man. He's a great golfer, and this is one of the main reasons why he's here.
Got a microphone 3 at the front, Mark.
Hey, Jon. With the 5 rookies on the team, how much have you bonded with those guys this week? Obviously, you know all of them before, but and do you think it could be an advantage or a disadvantage to have so many rookies on the team? And as a last follow, what's your anticipation of that first tee on Friday if you're out there?
Well, when it comes to the rookies, what can I say? 2 of those are Tommy Fleetwood and Alex Noren, 2 of the best players in the world the last 2 years. Race to Dubai champion. Alex has won, seems like 10 times the last 3 years. They've both won the French Open. Then Tyrrell Hatton, somebody who's been in great form the last 2 years. Myself, have actually had great performances here. And Torbjörn Olesen, who's won pretty much every year the last few years. So it's, pretty good time to have 5 rookies, I would say. And I've gotten to know them pretty well. It's Alex is a little bit quieter. Alex and Torbjörn are both a little bit quieter guys. But once you're in a team room, you can't hide. So it's great to know everybody, how everybody thinks. I've played with Tommy quite a bit the last few years. Played with Tyrrell as well. So it's again, like I said, it's a great feeling to have all these people become friends. It's been really fun. Everybody's been nothing but a complete delight. Hopefully, I can't wait to get the Ryder Cup started, to be honest. And I can't explain what that first tee is going to be like. The only time I've seen stands this big is in a football stadium, and the closest I guess to that is 16th and TPC Scottsdale, which is the closest sense I'm going to have since I live in Scottsdale. I'm a ASU graduate, so I do have some of the gallery pulling for me on that hole, but I know it's not going to be anything like this. So when I've had people that have experienced great things in golf tell me that the final tee time at a major it's a 2 out of 10 compared to the first tee on the Ryder Cup. So haven't been on the last tee time on the majors yet, so I can't tell you what that's going to be like.
I'm going to mic one on the right.
John, I know you often listen to rap music in the minutes before you get on the first tee and to get pumped up for it. Will the earphones be in this week, or is there more than enough out there that would just get you up for the occasion?
The main reason why I do, so I listen to music when I first putt and right before going to the tee. I do it when I first start putting just so I can get into my own world a little bit, because it's very easy to get caught up in what's going on around you, especially in a week like this, so that's why I do it. And then beforehand, again, pretty much the same reason, right? Right before teeing off, especially in a week like this, it's very easy to get caught up looking at the stands, looking at the people, looking at what's going on, and forget what you're here for in the first place. So that's why I put the headphones on. It kind of helps me get within myself and, you know, be able to get physically and mentally ready for the match.
So what's the playlist this week?
I've been listening a lot to Eminem's new album. That I can tell you that much. But it usually is pretty standard. I mean, there's about 4 or 5 songs I listen while I'm putting before and after. I always do it right before I get to the putting range, so it all depends on the day.
Cara, mic 3 on the left.
Hi, John. Rory was just in here saying he was pleasantly surprised at the input you've already had to the team in your rookie year. What kind of things have you been saying to inspire everyone, given the fact that you haven't yet teed it up in a Ryder Cup?
I'm just being myself. I don't know if I've said any memorable quotes yet. I can't think of anything. Again, I'm just trying to be myself, you know, and enjoy it as much as possible. You're going to have to ask other players to say what I've said, because I can't remember.
Got a better mic 4.
Hey, John. Obviously, you're a fiery character and a guy that likes to be emotional out there. Can you run me through the pros and cons of potentially being paired with someone like you in that regard, and someone like Alex or Justin who's a bit more even keel?
All I can say is that if they're getting paired with me, is because they're very aware of how I am on the golf course, and because they want to play with somebody like that. That's all I can say. I can play with anybody. You know, I've played representing Spain. I've played with many different players, energetic players, calm players, people that are like me, very different like me, and I've had success with all of them. I'm a pretty easygoing person. You know, once we get to the golf course, especially on, you know, 4-ball and foursomes, when you're playing with a partner, it's a little bit different than playing singles. So I think we all act a little bit differently. You know, it's like 2 players becoming one. So it kind of, you know, I think we feed off the best of each other. So it'll help me if I'm playing with somebody like Justin Rose. It'll help me calm down a little bit, and my emotion will help him maybe pump up a little bit, right? So I think it benefits both ways.
Got a Martin on mic 3, please.
John, what Rory was referring to specifically was your contribution to the WhatsApp group. Could you give us a flavour of the sort of tone you use when you contribute to the WhatsApp group?
My contribution to the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he referred to.
I think, well, see, we have funny moments. I mean, like yesterday, for example, after the round, after Rory drove it past me 50 yards in pretty much every hole, I was on the physio table after the round and with needles in me, and because of jet lag, I was completely asleep. So Rory decided it was a perfect time to take a picture of my underwear and post it on the chat and say, you know, I couldn't handle him hitting it past me in every single jet drive. So obviously you have to protect yourself and respond to something like that and say whatever comes to mind. In my case, I like sarcastic humor a lot. I think I enjoy it a lot. You know, hopefully I didn't hurt anybody on the team. I guess it's not I think we all understand that at that point. It's just, to be honest, I think we're just trying to everybody make fun of each other. You're not, if you think you've gone away so far, you're not going to. You know, everybody's gonna get something at some point, and that's what we do. So at first I was a little bit hesitant on what to say. You know, I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to piss off anybody. And then once I realized what the tone was gonna be, you know, within 30 seconds, here we go. Somebody was getting it. I was like, okay, it's pretty much free will to say whatever you want to anybody, which is obviously, it's a great thing because we all have a lot of fun.
Can I just ask a follow-up question in terms of team sport and what background you've got in team sport and whether that's something you really enjoy?
I love team sports. As much as I love, because we're in an individual sport, as much as I enjoy winning individually, there's not greater feeling than winning as a team. Like I said, I've been in the national team in Spain since I was 14 years old. I grew up playing football and many other team sports. I did team canoeing as well, many different things. So also being in the team in the United States for 4 years, it's great when a team gets together for one same goal, one same purpose, and it gets accomplished. Whether you win or lose as a team, and it's always easier to deal with it whether you win or lose. It's a lot more fun either way. So yeah, I wish we had more team events in golf, but again, if we had more, the Ryder Cup maybe wouldn't be what it is right now, so I'm certainly glad it is what it is.
Microphone 2 on the right-hand side.
John, you said a few minutes ago, this is a magnificent track. Great design.
Oh, there you are, sorry.
You said this is a magnificent track and a great design. Could you just explain what do you mean by great design? Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Well, playing on the PGA Tour a lot of times the game of golf on the PGA Tour is somewhat repetitive, or is say who can hit the longest drive, say who can hit it the highest on the green, to stop it on a very small shelf and very firm, fast greens. And if you miss the green, is give me the lob wedge, give me the lob wedge, the lob wedge, and the lob wedge again, right? It's all flop shots, see how high you can hit it in every single sense. So every time I come back to Europe and I see all the more traditional golf courses, you come here, and you start on the first few holes. You see number 1, it's a short hole. It's just a layup of a tee. It's arguably the widest fairway of a tee. And still as tense as can be. Still tenser than most of the tee shots we played on the PGA Tour. A very narrow second shot, even if you have just a wedge in. And then you go to that second hole. Every single shot you have out here in Golf Nacional is tense. There's not one relaxed moment. It doesn't give you much room for error. You need to think about it. You need to think about what you're doing, the type of shot, the consequences. It's, in my mind, what the game of golf should be like. It's a lot more enjoyable. It's a lot of fun if you play good. It's a fight. Without being links golf is the closest you're going to get to thinking like links golf.
Intense.
Yeah.
Got to fill on to.
John, I wouldn't expect you to give away any pairings, secrets or anything like that, but if hypothetically, if you were to play with Rory, why would that be a good possible pairing? And if so, maybe who would you be happy to tee off first on the Friday morning?
If I were to play with Rory, well, we've played a lot together. I think we know each other's game very well, and we have a very similar game plan in mind. I think the one thing that you can say about both of us is that we're both fearless. So we would complement each other very well. But again, I could play with any of the other 11 guys. I have set equally as good a time as I would with Rory. I think it all goes up to, I think, being the history of the Ryder Cup, I will be playing with an experienced player. They're not going to put 2 rookies up on Friday morning. So I will be playing with somebody, either Stenson, Sergio, Rory, Rosie, Poulter, Fran. Somebody who knows what's going on and somebody who can most likely keep me under control on that Friday morning, because I feel like I'm going to have electricity coming out of me. It's a little bit, you can imagine I might tee up with somebody who's a little more calm than me, which is not hard to do. But yeah, again, I could play with anybody, but I believe I would play with somebody experienced.
Going to go microphone on the far left, Tim.
John, is it a dream of yours to play in your first Ryder Cup with Sergio? And do you see yourself gaining confidence and inspiration from him the way he did years ago with Seve?
It's always been a dream of mine to share the stage with Sergio. And just because he's been in my shoes, he played the Ryder Cup when he was 18, 19 years old. So he was even younger than I was. And I feel pretty young at this point. I'm the youngest on the team by a couple years. So, I think he understands me as a fellow Spaniard, as both fiery players. I think he understands me more than anybody else. So whether we play together or not, he's going to be able to help me out most out of anybody in the world. So, I'm really looking forward to this week spending with him.
Time for one more question on microphone 4, please.
Hey, John, just to follow up on an earlier point,
obviously at the Ryder Cup, rookies tend to fade into the background while the veterans lead. As the youngest player on the team, you're a gregarious fellow. Why have you felt a desire to be so active in some of the discussions and kind of be a leader by default?
Well, I haven't made any decisions or anything like that. One of the things Thomas said is be yourself. So I'm taking that as serious as I can, and I'm a very honest, upfront person. I don't lie. So whatever it's in my mind, I'm going to say. That's what he said, so that's what I'm doing. I think these situations work best when everybody says what's in their mind. You avoid confusions. If somebody's going to get upset, you get upset before rather than after the fact. It's the best way to get everything done and everything figured out beforehand. So why not? I'm not a person who lies either way, so I'm not going to change that now.
Okay, well, Jon, thank you for joining us. Good luck this week.
Thank you, guys.
Good, thank you.
Take the seat here, please.
Hey guys.
Okay, Justin, many thanks for joining us. Ryder Cup is always a very special week, but just give us your thoughts on being part of the European team this week.
Yeah, obviously excited once again. This is my 5th Ryder Cup. I'm only my 2nd at home, so it's just exciting to be back playing in front of a home crowd. And obviously Glen Eagles was an amazing amount of fun, and I'm kind of looking forward to that field. Get the home crowd behind us and playing in front of, like I said, a home crowd. Obviously, we've enjoyed the build-up with the boys. We've had a fun couple of weeks. We've seen a lot of each other on tour. We've all obviously been very busy doing our own things, but in the back of our minds, we've kind of been spending a bit more time with one another, maybe playing the odd practice round, an extra 9 holes here and there together, other than we otherwise would have. So we've all been preparing slowly but surely for this week, and it's now upon us, which is great.
On a personal level, a nice little windfall there on Sunday, but how much does that do for your confidence, the summer that you've had in general, just coming into a Ryder Cup?
Yeah, it does a lot. I think I've been playing consistently well. Obviously, I think that's what the FedEx Cup ultimately the way I won the FedEx Cup was through my consistency season long. And that obviously does give me confidence coming into this week. And more so specifically, if I boil it down just to having to play that last hole to win, the feelings that I faced there are going to be very similar to the feelings I'm going to face this week in order to try and close out a point and win a point. So there'll be moments I can draw upon that this week when trying to deliver for the Team Europe.
Thanks, Justin. We'll go into some questions. Start with Mike Fall and Alistair, please.
Yeah, we just had Jon Rahm in here, who seems to be floating about 6 feet off the ground. Is there a danger of being too excited? And how do players like you try and temper that so he gets the job done and he's still pumped up?
Well, I think John's 24, is he? It's his first Ryder Cup. He's a passionate player, so I think him being 6 feet above the ground is brilliant because he's already about 6'4", so that'd be pretty intimidating if he's flying high. So I'd encourage him just to keep feeling that way, keep going, keep riding the emotions, and use it as inspiration. And I think feed off it. I think for me, knowing a bit more what to expect and the length of the week, obviously, just to trying to build into the week is important for me personally. And just grow into the week. I think it's only going to get bigger and bigger. I think obviously the crowds yesterday were, fairly small out here when we played, but that was a good day to play 18 holes. And I think obviously the team have now a lot of the hard work under our belt, and we can now ease into the week and just start to build on the energy that's going to just ramp up for sure.
Got a microphone too at the back right.
Hi.
What have your experiences been of Ryder Cup crowds, and do you hope that it's going to be a benefit being here in front of the home crowd this week and perhaps put the Americans off a little bit?
Well, I definitely hope to benefit. I think obviously 3 out of my 4 experiences have been being played away, and I play a lot of my golf in America, so I feel that I never get terrible kind of like I never experience any negative treatment by the US crowd, which is great. But I think it's a very intense environment to be playing away from home, and I think the one thing the Ryder Cup does is attract a sports crowd, not necessarily a golfing crowd, and that's going to be the really interesting thing this week. I don't know what to say, but the demographic of the crowd. Whereas I think Scotland, for example, Glen Eagles, very much a purist golf crowd, very knowledgeable golf crowd, very respectful golf crowd. And obviously, I would say here in Paris, I don't know, I heard 40% of the crowd are French and maybe 25% English, and the rest is a mix. So it'll be interesting to see the dynamic out there in terms of how that feels for us. And I would welcome an atmosphere that's more of a sports crowd and a bit more raucous and a bit more as we face it in America. I think that would be fantastic to play in front of, and it'd be a lot of fun.
Got a microphone through front left.
Hey, Justin. With your 5 rookies on the side, obviously all of these guys have had great accomplishments individually. What's your advice to them this week as rookies? And can it be an advantage or a disadvantage to have that many guys who have not done this before?
Well, I think it was a disadvantage in 2016 for us, but I think that's a big deal, being a rookie playing away from home versus being a rookie playing at home. So I'm thinking that our rookies this year are much less rookies by nature. World-class players. Obviously, John's been up at the top 2 or 3 in the world rankings. Obviously, Tommy Fleetwood's competing in major championships. Alex Noren wins very regularly and won here earlier this year. Tyrrell, again, tenacious player. I think will relish it. And who am I missing? Oh, Torbjorn, of course, yeah, who's obviously shown his mettle, to qualify for the team. And I've been in that situation. I think for the 2008 team, I was traveling and playing a couple of extra events on the European Tour to get in, and it's not easy. So anyone who qualifies that way, I think, has already proved to themselves that they're ready for it. But yeah, I think we have a nice mix, a really, really nice mix. And I think some rookies can be inspirational. They can just really relish it and put points on the board. And once they get a taste for putting points on the board, they're as dangerous as anybody out there. I mean, we've obviously seen, there's many wonderful players who don't have great Ryder Cup records. So I think it's important to not place too much importance on stature. 18-hole match play is what it is. It's 18-hole match play. Anybody can win. That's why the Dell Match Play Championship changed its format, because the number 1 seed kept getting knocked out in the first couple of rounds and the sponsors didn't like it. So, at the end of the day, it's reputations don't mean a great deal here. It's the players who find the inspiration on the day.
Got it, Rick, on mic 4 at the back.
Just in a lot of the Americans were sort of celebrating with Tiger on Sunday. There's a whole Tiger Mania thing going on. Just wonder whether you sort of actually getting the FedEx, does that sort of have a galvanizing effect, do you think, for the European team? I mean, is there some sort of psychological boost that the team can take from that?
Yeah, the team have had fun. They apparently all the drinks are on my tab this week, and all that type of stuff. But, we've all been having fun with it, so I guess there is that element. But I really think I've tried to curb the FedEx Cup. For me, it finished on the plane over. I enjoyed the plane ride over, but once I landed in Paris, I was one of 12 guys. So I didn't want it to carry over into this week. It's this week's about another job to do. I was happy for Tiger too last week. I think the golf world was. He's had an immense struggle the last few years, and I think it's brilliant to see him back. And I think it's good for our sport. So, I was one of the guys celebrating with him, even though I was obviously in contention. I wanted to be doing a better job myself on that Sunday. But, my Sunday turned into another type of challenge, and one that I was able to overcome just about. And that was exciting for me. But like I said, I think for me now, that's sort of, I can shelve that for another week or so. Maybe I'll certainly enjoy it. It's a kind of an achievement season long that you really want to enjoy. But I'd like to maybe start that party on Sunday night and here for the right reasons because of this week.
I'm going to have a microphone 2 at the far back.
Justin, can you talk about how you're role in the team room's changed over the years, and do you enjoy potentially being the team leader going into this Ryder Cup?
I think it's. I haven't tried to be anything that I'm not. I think I'm just trying to be. If I feel like I want to say something, I'll say something, and if I don't feel the need to say something, I think that it's really important to be who I am, and that's going to be the guy that's hopefully going to deliver some points. That's what talks the most is earning points, leading by example rather than talk. So and that's what Thomas has encouraged me to do. He's just encouraged me to be myself, and that's why he's been such a fantastic captain so far. Is that even in the year leading up to this point, he just put a lot of trust in me to be ready for September. He didn't put pressure on me to play in Paris in June if it didn't suit my schedule. He didn't put pressure on me to do anything that wasn't right for me personally, and therefore trusted all of my decision making to get here and be ready to play and ready to earn points. So, and that extends to the week and to the team room. Just be natural and be yourself. So, sure, my confidence through the years has probably grown. I've been able to play well in Ryder Cups, and if I can share experiences that are going to be helpful and meaningful to other players, of course I'm going to do that. But I'm not going to try and be anything that I'm not.
Let's take mic 2 with John, please.
Justin, you spoke at Hazeltine about the course and the setup. What is it? How does this course suit your eye, and what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, it's a really good setup. It's a very fair setup, and it's a very challenging setup, especially with the wind direction that we played yesterday. There's a lot of tee shots with the wind blowing left to right, which is hard to fit into the fairways. The fairways are fairly narrow, which is in stark contrast to how Hazeltine was set up. Typically, the Medina and Hazeltine have been very little rough, very fast greens, and obviously here we have quite narrow fairways, quite substantial rough off the fairway where you're struggling to get to the green, and greens that are rolling fairly fast, but not quick. They're rolling a beautiful 10.5, 11, which is great for this style of golf course and these, the surface, the type of grass that we have. So I think actually will create interesting. We all know this golf course is a great golf course, lots of water. You're going to see more. I think it's going to create very interesting matches. I think in Hazeltine was a putting competition for the most part. The greens were perfect. You were winning holes with birdies. Very few times you'd make bogey, and not many holes were won with par. Basically, this week you're going to see a lot of holes won with par, and it's going to create a very different mentality. And I think some exciting matches. Guys are going to hit it in the rough, and doesn't necessarily mean you're out of the hole. You have to work very hard for par on quite a few occasions around here. So very different type of golf course, which I think will be fun for both teams. And I'm not saying it doesn't suit any team more than any other. This is, you could argue, quite US Open-esque. So traditionally, quite narrow fairways, a lot of rough. So no one's going to be unfamiliar with this type of golf. No, not generally, I suppose. But, obviously, it's a wonderful finish here. It really is. And obviously, I hope that a decent amount of matches do get to 18, because that's, it really is a fantastic golf hole.
Got a mic 1 down the front.
How important, Justin, is it to the European team dynamic that you don't maybe take yourselves too seriously as individuals in your team room and during this week? And was it particularly merciless on you, the video of the impressionist? It seems possibly it was.
What do you mean? I've got my gold medal here, polishing it away. No, it wasn't too merciless on me, I don't think. I think it was all in good spirit. The more merciless, the more funny, I think, is kind of the nature in which it was intended. So, they were all brilliant. What was the first part of your question? Sorry.
Is it important to the team dynamic that you maybe don't take yourself too seriously? It seems like a British thing, maybe a European thing, perhaps more than an American thing.
Yeah, very much so. If you're getting slated in the team room, it means you're loved. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll go to microphone 2 with Phil, please.
Justin, over here on the right.
Right hand side, sorry.
Yes.
Jon Rahm was in here earlier on, and he said that the jet lag had him asleep on the physio table yesterday. So I was just wondering, how much has last week taken out of you, especially considering what you had to do on Sunday evening? And are you confident you'll be sort of fully fit to play 5 if necessary this week?
Yeah, actually, no, to be honest, I've had a bit of a dream kind of run into this. I slept probably 5 hours on the plane, and then I've had 2 full nights sleep, my first 2 nights here. So Really clicked in surprisingly well to the time change, and yeah, I've had no idle hours awake that I wish I was asleep. So I've done really well, and hopefully that will start to pay off as the week goes on. Yesterday was an incredibly long day. Obviously, we played 18 holes. That was the team's choice, was to do that, get some of the hard work knocked out early, so we can now focus on easing our way into Friday morning. And yeah, if I'm called upon to play 5, then I will do. I think I've played 19 out of 20 matches of the Ryder Cups that I have played, so I'm sort of used to that in a way. But I will be ready if needed. Yeah.
I've got a car on mic 3 in the front
Hey
there.
Justin, congrats on the FedEx Cup.
Thanks.
Great to see you on Sunday. How important was it to you to have Henrik Stenson on this team?
Yeah, really important, I think. Obviously, Henrik, you just got to look at his statistics. I mean, I think he's #1 on the PGA Tour fairways hit. He's #1 on the PGA Tour greens in regulation. Who wouldn't want to play with that guy? I mean, but what he brings to the team is not necessarily great ball striking, or not only great ball striking. You know, he's a fantastic guy. He's got a brilliant sense of humor, as it's been referred to today. His caddy as well has great relationships within the team, and certainly a great relationship with my caddy Fuchs. So if Henrik and I were to play together this week, it's not just me and him that get on really well. It's you know, our 4-ball, you know, the 2 caddies as well create an awesome dynamic, and I think that's actually an important part of it. And you know, Henrik and his family I adore, and we spent a bit of time with them after the Open in Sweden. So yeah, we're definitely sort of good friends on and off the golf course, and I was delighted that, you know, he was going to be part of the team. And I don't think there was ever a doubt that he was going to be part of the team. I think you know, he's the kind of experienced player that you want to have. You know, and I think from a captain's point of view, he's one of your reliable guys out there that you need to lean on.
Question on mic 4 in the middle.
Rosie, as the new FedEx Cup champion, I'm hoping you can offer some perspective here. Phil made the argument yesterday that the playoffs has helped the Americans because they're playing all the way through the Ryder Cup, as opposed to in the old days they would take 4 to 5 weeks off. Do you think there's any merit to that conversation?
Well, I think our team's fresher than the American team. So it's going to be an interesting conversation for sure, because you know, I'm hoping that that's one of our benefits, is that we're slightly more rested as a team, as a collective group. And yeah, the guys have been playing hard, obviously, and playing under a lot of pressure, and you know, obviously as have I. But you know, I've also done a lot of things. I've made a lot of little small mini decisions through the playoffs to try and keep a bit of gas in the tank. I've played many less practice rounds than I otherwise would have. I skipped out on the Pro-Am in Boston and only turned up Thursday evening. So there's been a lot of conscious decisions my end to try and get through this week. And you know, the guys that have been playing over here in Europe have played a lot less golf, and then some of the other guys on the team, some of the more experienced guys, haven't played all of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Henrik took a couple off, and so I really feel like we're more rested. So you know, it's interesting. So they might feel like they're playing their way in, and our guys are going to have a bit of gas in the tank. So we'll have to evaluate it on Sunday, but I'm hoping our strategy is going to be the one that pays off in the long run.
Time for a couple more. Go microphone 2 at the far back.
Justin, you've obviously played in all sorts of high-pressure situations as an individual. Is the Ryder Cup still a unique test of character as far as you're concerned? Can you explain what that test of character is?
Yeah, it's. I think no matter how many times it's once every 2 years. So you never get comfortable with it. I don't think you can ever really walk onto that first tee Friday and go, yeah, this feels good, or this feels normal. Of course, it feels good. You feel alive, and I think you know, Jose Miralatibel gave us a little memento one year, and it says, "All men die, but not all men live." And I think what he meant by that is feeling that adrenaline, feeling that whatever you want to call it, but feeling that emotion, I think is what it's all about. And I think there's no more intense session than the first morning on Friday. That's what everything is, a crescendo there. And then I think from Friday morning onwards, you kind of build into the week, and then you start to get comfortable. Friday afternoon, you're into it. Saturday morning, it's intense again, but you've done it before, the day before, so you start to build into the week. But no doubt that peak on Friday morning is something that you anticipate and you're never quite comfortable with, but that's the beauty of it. And I think especially this year, the scenes around that first tee could be absolutely amazing. I mean, it's the most incredible first tee shot I've ever seen, for sure. And this year it's a long iron. You know, normally you tee up the driver and just hope for the best, but now you might have to hit a good old 3-iron down there. Could be interesting.
I'll take the last question from Tim on microphone 3.
Rosie, could you take us back to that pivotal putt you made at Medina in that comeback, the putt itself, Mickelson's reaction to it, and whether you feel like that was your greatest moment as a Ryder Cupper?
Yeah, I think that has to be my greatest moment as a Ryder Cupper, and I think the momentum in which it created for the team, you're not quite aware of when you're completing your match, but I think it happened at a time where people watching at home suddenly started to believe that we could do this, and the comeback was on. So from that point of view, it's been, the story has been told to me many times, but I just remember I had a putt from about 10 feet to stay 1 down with 2 to play, and I made that to give myself half a chance. And I remember walking onto the 17th tee and just forcing myself to stay aggressive, because in the back of your mind, you'd be like, okay, let's just get a half out of this match. But I knew that the job was to deliver a point. We needed to have a historic comeback and a monumental comeback. So to force myself to stay aggressive was my goal. And then the putt in 17 was, unbelievable. And that's what kind of people remember, is the putt in 17. But that only got me all square. So my funny reaction of kind of waddling up there and not really going crazy. Inside I wanted to, cannonball into the lake, but I knew that I was only all square. I had to go to 18 and win the hole. So I remember just consciously walking as slowly as I could to get the ball out of the hole, get into the 18th tee, and then continue to play 18 well. So that putt in 17 means nothing if I lose 18, and I was very conscious of all of that at the time. But the putt that I was most proud of was the one on 18 to finish it off, and that's the one that's not really necessarily remembered or talked about, but as a player, to make it on 18 is the one that counts.
Okay, Justin, we'll let you go and practice. Thanks
All
for
right,
joining us.
thank you.
Good luck this week.